This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, A's fans, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. It's a Friday. I hope everybody is going to have a wonderful weekend. I hope you got some great plans. We've got a lot of A's baseball for you. What a show we have for you today. Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal is coming up in moments. Wall Street Journal obviously is about business. It's about politics. But the stories that he's allowed to do on baseball are all pretty special. They're not sitting here giving you slash lines and the same old stuff everybody else gives you. And they're trying to tell you how, you got to walk and hit home runs. They look for the special interest stories, and he's recently done one on Denzel Clark. So we'll get into that with Jared Diamond. And also, I brought this to everybody, and it's going to, the noise and the interest is going to slowly build. It's the business of our game. And it's a twofold thing. On one side, we have a CBA that's going to come up that needs to be negotiated with the players. And it's a fight between the owners and the players. And it really is a fight between the owners and the owners. Basically, a few owners that have unbelievable television contracts, like the Los Angeles Dodgers, whose TV contract is north of $300 million a year. Two other teams don't even have a TV contract anymore. We've talked about that with the commissioner. He wants to bring everybody in-house, sell it that way. I'm going to ask Jared Diamond about how is the commissioner and baseball going to negotiate and sell to the players that we need change. And things aren't as great as we think it is. But then you're going to turn around on the other side. So it's twofold. The other side, you need to sell sunshine, lollipops, unicorns, Mary Poppins to potential television networks, streaming services, that this game is healthy, this game is strong, and you need to give us a ton of money to help promote to help promote our game and show our game to all of our fans. That's a tough sales job. One's negative, one's positive. They both don't jive. Well, that's what the commissioner's going to have to do. And if anybody's going to have a good answer, which we've recorded this interview, you want a great answer? Jared Diamond is going to break it down. So he's going to do a whole thing because he's done an article on Denzel Clark. You want to hear some Denzel Clark? We got some Denzel Clark for you. Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal. And then the juggling act of Major League Baseball, selling bad and good at the same time. How do you do it? And why we do not want, as baseball fans, we do not want the Dodgers, we do not want the Mets to win the World Series. Not just because get rid of your fandom here. We're talking business. He is going to explain why if one of the two big spenders wins, it is bad for us as baseball fans. That is all coming up in moments. Dave Sims used to be the play-by-play guy for the Mariners. Now he's for the Yankees. A's are in New York. Great stuff over the weekend. We're going to play it for you on NBC, and you'll also hear it here on the A's Radio Network and also A's Cast. Our guys, Lawrence Butler, Jay Willie, and Denzel Clark have all made the trip over to Secaucus, New Jersey to MLB Network. We'll have the video and the audio of their appearance on MLB Network. I'm sure you'll see it all over social media. That's going to be great. But playing the Yankees, the play-by-play man of the Yankees, Dave Sims, is going to join us at 2:30. And then the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford, will be at 2:45. Commander, how are you?
I'm good, Towny. It's Friday. The A's are in New York, and we've seen some really exciting stories when the A's go to New York. Brent Rooker a few years ago, Mason Miller last year. Those are both all-stars, and we're going to see Jacob Wilson.
Well, that was over at MLB Network.
Yeah, and then what Mason Miller did against Soto and Judge and striking them out in the ninth inning last year in New York, and then now Jacob Wilson versus Jacob Wilson and Aaron Judge this weekend. The two guys vying for the AL batting title. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see this weekend at the Bronx at the new Yankee Stadium.
How long are we going to do that?
Do what?
Call it New Yankee Stadium.
I don't know. I threw it out there.
I mean,
it's been open since 2009.
Yeah, I mean, how are we still doing that?
That's what. Shockingly enough, or fittingly enough, that's the last
but
time.
what point is it not new anymore? What point are we like Yankee Stadium? We're not like, well, they played in all these different stadiums.
Well, as you know, they call the new Busch Stadium, and there's new Busch.
But
or Busch
no
3.
one calls it that. No one. You don't. Hey, welcome to Busch 3 here as the Cardinals are taking on the Cubbies. I mean, they don't do that.
We just call it Busch Stadium.
All right, so Yankees aren't playing good baseball.
They are not. No.
So I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Probably a bad thing, but
because they're going to get hot again.
Yes,
and
probably a bad thing.
So, but the Yankees are not playing good baseball. So that, to me, this is a chance. I'm not going to lie to you. The Athletics are 33-50. It is what it is. But this is a chance for you as one of the young players, because some of the older players are gone. TJ McFarland, sad, DFA'd. Seth Brown, gone, released. Time to go younger. Keep bringing the young guys up. But for our young players who just went over to MLB Network, this is your chance. We'll talk to Mark Kotsay about it. This is your chance. When you do something here, let's face it, there's more people on the Eastern Seaboard. There just is. There's more people who are diehard sports fans on the Eastern Seaboard. This is New York. All the eyes are on the Yankees. Everybody in our game, a lot of the media is in the Northeast. They watch all the Yankee games. So when you go to New York, if you're Jacob Wilson, Mason Miller, as you said last year, if you're Lawrence Butler, Denzel Clark, maybe robbing something, this is your chance, because this will be played first and foremost. It'll be highlighted on MLB Network. It'll be Sports Center. Everybody on the East will be watching. So if Jacob Wilson goes off this weekend, I think he's already going to be the first ever rookie shortstop to be voted into the All-Star game. But you want to enhance who you are, Nick Kurtz. You want to show everybody who you are, Nick Kurtz. You want to continue to show who you are if you're Jacob Wilson. This is a great weekend to do it. Jacob Wilson goes out and has 6 to 8 hits, outdoes Aaron Judge in the hit department. They're two different players, I get it, but I mean this puts you on the map. Whether you like saying that or not, when you go to New York, the Yankees and also the Mets, when you go play in New York, all the eyes are on you. This is Broadway, man. It's time to shine. I think it's a great opportunity for our young players. But we'll get into that a little bit later with Mark Kotsay during the Mark Kotsay Show. Jared Diamond does an unbelievable job with the Wall Street Journal covering baseball for the Wall Street Journal, which is about business, about politics. I mean, it's pretty cool because his stories are fantastic. He did a story on Denzel Clark. Now joining us here on A's Cast Live. We're in the studios in San Francisco. Later on today, we're going to have the Yankees and the Athletics from Yankee Stadium. Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal joins us. How are you? It's been a while.
I know. I missed you guys. It's always great to talking some A's baseball over here.
Well, you know what? Obviously, we're not having a great year, but we got some interesting guys to talk about, including what you wrote about in the Wall Street Journal. And by the way, sports in the Wall Street Journal, absolutely fantastic. You recognize Denzel Clark. This is an amazing talent. You know, we've talked about how, his family, his mother being on the Olympic team in 1984 with the Canadian Olympic team. She was a track star. I've mentioned plenty of times, this is he's like a track star playing center field at 6'4", 220 pounds, making amazing catches. You talk about Spider-Man. How much fun did you have doing a story on this kid who grew up in Toronto, not far from the Rogers Center, and he's dazzling everybody in baseball with his defense?
It was great. It was great to speak with him and get to know him a little bit. I had heard from others I had spoken to how just great of a guy he was and how fantastic he was to deal with. That was totally my experience when I ended up getting to speak to him on the phone a couple of weeks ago. And it was just a couple of days after, or maybe even the day after, that spectacular catch he made in Anaheim when the whole world was suddenly knew Denzel Clark's name. And that was certainly my story, right? I did not know who Denzel Clark was until that catch. And then suddenly I'm like, wait a second, that's the same guy who made that catch in Baltimore and the same guy who made that catch in Toronto just in the past couple of weeks. I saw those plays, but it didn't register to me that it was the same guy until that Anaheim catch. I'm like, who is this? Who is this kid? And he's got an incredible story. He obviously has incredible athlete genes, right? Having a mother for an Olympian is going to go a long way. And he's able to do things on the field that no one else could really do. He derives so much value just from his glove at a premier position that if you're the A's, it does make sense, at least for now, to keep running him out there, take whatever you can from his defense and just keep hoping he develops as a hitter. He doesn't need to hit all that much to be a valuable major league player because of that glove.
I mean, you just think about years ago, if you were this premier defensive guy, how long it would take to get around the league of who is he, where's he from, what is he doing. It would take it could maybe take well over a year. But the way with social media, MLB Network, we still got Sports Center. He's top 10 catches constantly, and he's number one. In a very short time, a no-hit, all-glove guy in center field is now someone in our realm, the baseball world, well-known. How crazy is that?
It's very unusual, right? Especially these days for a defense-first player to get that kind of recognition. But the reason he's getting it is not just because he's a great defender. It's because he's a great defender and doing spectacular things, right? That catch he made in Anaheim is realistically on sort of the Mount Rushmore of like the greatest home run robberies ever, right? Like you're going to see that play on every sort of like highlight reel of the greatest defensive plays in baseball history forever. I mean, that's how spectacular that was. You sort of put it in that category with Jim Edmonds' sort of diving over the shoulder catch, or, Mike Trout's home run robbery, Ken Griffey Jr. The plays that are sort of burned in your brain if you're a baseball fan for the last 30, 40 years. That play, if certainly rivals those, it might even be better than all of those, right? So that's going to generate attention, especially considering that was the third great catch he'd made in the span of 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. It's unusual, but he's an unusual player and he deserves the recognition he's getting. And he's such an exciting player, and he's exactly the kind of player that you want in baseball, right? I said this to him. When I was talking to him, I asked him this. I said, based on like what we've seen you do, you could have probably played any sport in the world and been elite at it because of your sort of natural abilities. We're very fortunate as baseball fans that he chose baseball, and you hope that he does develop as a hitter so that he has a long career and sticks around, because he is the exact kind of athlete that as baseball fans we want playing baseball, right? Like the game is better when players like Denzel Clark are playing the game.
We sat around and we've now obviously investigated a lot because we tried to find a comp. And he's 6'4", 220 pounds. You literally can't find a comparison of anybody in the history of baseball like him. And so I really started delving in. I go, really the closest guy that I can think of that is a comp that has his ability to go get the ball is Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss. He's built like Randy Moss. He runs like Randy Moss was also a track star and also an NFL Hall of Famer. But when you look at someone who's 6'4" and 220, because you can't find people his size. Like the one center fielder we could find his size, love him to death, and what a great player. You could debate whether or not you think he should be a Hall of Famer, is Dale Murphy. But as we all know, Dale Murphy couldn't run and jump like this. As you mentioned, that play in Anaheim, basically 98.9% of all human beings that get that high on the fence would have fallen over the fence. He was able to stay on the fence. We joked with him. I thought he could jump over the fence and run up those rocks in Anaheim and go get a ball. I mean, he's like a superhero. It's like, Jared, it's like trying to find a comp. You can't find anybody in the history of baseball who's his height, who's his weight, who jumps like him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there isn't anyone like him. And like you were mentioning, you get the sense that he could have been an NFL receiver or an NFL defensive back if that was the path life took him on. So I think we all owe Josh and Bo Naylor, his cousins, a debt of gratitude for introducing him to baseball. He told me he really didn't start playing baseball till he was about 9 or 10 years old, right? Which that's not old, but that's not a kid who was sort of born with the game, born into the game, right? I mean, he said he ran track. His first love was soccer, right? And then one day he said it was over Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, and Josh and Bo Naylor were all together, family, and they sort of introduced. They said, "Why don't we go play baseball?" And they took that like a tinfoil ball and a broomstick and hit it around. And Denzel said he just kind of got hooked, and that was the rest was history, as they say. And yeah, we're very fortunate it worked out that way for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you haven't interviewed too many Canadian star baseball players. And when I think about the Wall Street Journal, obviously, when you read it, you're looking at a lot of business news, a lot about political news around the world. What is the key for you to find stories that are going to interest the people that read the Wall Street Journal?
It's a really interesting question because it's a sort of a strange place to be covering sports, but also a great place to be covering sports because the goal is sort of very simple. It's to write stories that are original, that you can't find anywhere else, that ideally appeal to sort of a mass audience, both big sports fans and those that might not follow sports, but might just sort of be interested in whatever interesting thing is going on that day in the world of sports. So what I'm really looking for is things I think that have sort of appeal across all people, right? We're writing for a national, if not a global audience. And I'm looking for superlatives, right? I'm looking for the best, the most interesting, the most unique, right? And that's Denzel Clark, right? I had a story a couple of days ago about Jacob Mizorowski and the Brewers, right? The hardest throwing starting pitcher in the history of baseball, probably, right? Those are the kind of stories I'm looking for. Stories that you can't find anywhere else. And the great thing about the Wall Street Journal is they give us the time and the space to go out there and find those stories. We don't try to cover everything, right? I've been covering baseball for the Journal for a long time. I'm not trying to cover every single thing that happens, but what I do cover, I want to be impactful and hopefully make you read it and go, that was really interesting. I'm going to tell somebody about this thing I just read in the Wall Street Journal.
All right, a story that is going to be really interesting is the sell job New York, as in the commissioner's office, is going to have to do in two different ways. So one sales job is the CBA. We all hear about the CBA and the fight that's going to come, and we're worried about if we're going to lose a season. So the negotiation with the players, where you don't want to sell that everything's great. You don't want to sell that we got historic this and revenues are historic and that everything is perfect. You want to sell some, hey, we need to negotiate. We need a little help from the players. Then on the other side, you're going to have this other story as you're trying to find new partners to help you grow your game, as we're all trying to figure out with streaming and where do we go next with presenting our game to the public. Well, these business partners, you want to sell everything's great. Look how many fans we have. We have people around the globe. We have, look at all these markets, and our game is strong. It's secure. So the sales job, there's two different sales jobs. There's going to be the sales job to future partners that you want to buy into your game and help you stream, market, show your game. And then you have to the players union. You don't want to sell everything's great because you want to get the best possible deal for the owners versus the players. Do you find that future of baseball and what they're going to have to do? Do you find that fascinating? I actually do.
It's absolutely fascinating. And look, we're in for a tumultuous few years in the game and the business side of the game. There's no question about it. And what it all is going to sort of come down to is this question of revenue disparity, which ultimately means payroll disparity, right? And we all know what's going on, right? If you're following baseball and you have eyes, you sort of are aware of what's happening. The Los Angeles Dodgers spending $500 million on their roster, and a team like the A's is spending what, 80 million or whatever. Well, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you know what I mean, somewhere in that range. Can you have a healthy sport where one team spends 500 million and another spends 80 million on players, right? Like, that's what this is all going to come down to. And baseball's always sort of been threading this line, walking this tightrope where they'll kind of like, yes, this is the problem, but we're finding ways to sort of work around it. But I think it's getting harder for baseball to do that as the teams like the Dodgers and to an extent the Mets have been a big driver of this too because of Steve Cohen. The gap is growing so enormously, right? Where you're just starting to see it on the field, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like you just see it on the field. I mean, look, even right now, are there exceptions? Are there small market teams that have success every year? Sure, of course. We talk with Tampa Bay having a great season. Shockingly, they've been amazing. But like you kind of sit here right now and you had to handicap again who's going to be in the World Series. And you're looking at the Dodgers, you're looking at the Yankees, you're looking at the Mets, right? And at the end of the day, baseball has to decide whether that's acceptable, number one. And number two, if it's not, what you're going to do about it. And that's not an easy question because, sure, salary cap, you're going to hear it again and again. Baseball needs a salary cap. Baseball needs a salary cap. Fine. You could argue that. I understand that argument. What are you willing to give up to get it? Because to get that salary cap, that would certainly have an impact on the game. Whether you think it's a positive or negative impact is up to interpretation. Certainly change the game. In order to get it, you're talking about a year away, right? You're talking about a full season away at least. There is no salary cap to be gotten without taking down the 2027 season at least, right? And do the owners have the stomach for that? At some point, if you miss all that time, does whatever financial gains you make from a salary cap sort of offset by the depressed fan interest that would result from an extended lockout, right? Like these are the difficult questions. So everyone's talking about players versus owners. It's actually the wrong question. The real question is owners versus owners. This is an owners versus owners issue. They have to decide, the 30 owners collectively, whether they have the stomach to sit out a year or more to push for the salary cap. Let's be honest here. In a labor dispute, if it goes on long enough, who is going to win? The owners are going to win eventually. Eventually, the owners could get what they want because they simply have more money, right? The players, they can't wait 5 years, right? The owners are all billionaires. They could just take down baseball forever and wouldn't impact their lives at all. Like it would have no impact on their life if there was no baseball for the vast majority of them, right? There's some, we don't need to get into the weeds on this. Baseball players, their careers are average of 4 years, right? Like they can't afford to wait it out. So the owners have to decide what they want to do. That's on the labor front, and that's going to be fascinating. I really don't know what they're going to do. The owners definitely don't have consensus yet, and they're still trying to figure it out. Then you have this TV piece, which is the whole other sort of owner versus owner fight, because we know what Rob Manfred wants to do. He's said it. He's been on the record. I've written about it several times now. He wants to take away local TV rights from the clubs, bring them in-house, sell them as a package, and essentially try to sell your TV rights the way the NFL does, right? Like take everything is in-house, and then everything gets shared, If you're a small market team, you love this. If you're the Dodgers, you hate this. Because the Dodgers' big advantage right now is that they're making $330 million a year from local TV. And a team like the A's are actually not a great example. They have a pretty good TV deal, actually. But let's say the Padres in your state, they don't have an RSN. Like, they have their RSN dropped. The local RSN business is legitimately collapsing. The only reason the A's are playing in Sacramento right now, probably, is to preserve their RSN deal because they have a good deal and they know they can never replicate it anywhere else because that business is collapsing, right? So what's going to happen? Rob Manfred has to find a way to convince a team like the Dodgers that ultimately it's good for everybody, for the Dodgers to make less money and share more, right? I guess that's why Rob Manfred gets paid the big bucks. It's not going to be so easy to convince them that, like, hey, yes, you're making all this money from your local TV, but that's just not going to work. And as I sit here now, if I am like sort of handicapping all of this, and if I think the absolute worst thing that could happen from a labor standpoint and all of this would be the Dodgers winning the World Series again. If the Dodgers win the World Series again, it just gives the owners such ammo to say they need to be curbed. They need to be reined in. They're unstoppable, right? And I guarantee to you, if the Dodgers win the World Series this year, the calls for reform are going to grow so incredibly loud. So I'm sure the owners are all rooting for the Dodgers. The players, unless you're on the Dodgers, the union, they want the Dodgers to crash and burn spectacular in the postseason so they could go, hey, look, the money doesn't actually matter. I think if you're a fan of the A's, however, you would probably say, no, the money matters.
High level, fascinating stuff. That's why you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. That's why we should read you, and that's why we bring you on the show. Thank you so much for the time. It's always fantastic. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Enjoy the fact that I didn't even forgot the A's were in my hometown right now, which is very embarrassing. So I look forward to watching the A's tonight at a time before the middle of the night. I have 2 4-year-olds, so those West Coast games not so easy for me these days over here. So happy to see him at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, great to talk to you. We'll talk soon.
Anytime, guys. See ya.
Yeah, he is solid. He is really good. Speaking, Road Trip Mike was over at Times Square today at the flagship MLB store, and the manager told him they can't keep A's gear in stock. It sells so fast. I mean, they're only buying so much, obviously. And it just always, no matter how dysfunctional things can be, we're always relevant, whether you like it or not. Road Trip's going to call into the postgame show and explain. He talked to the manager there at Times Square. Coming up next, the voice, the new voice. We're not talking Mariners. The new voice of the New York Yankees, Dave Sims, will join us right here on A's Cast Live.
A's assistant general manager Billy Owens joined Towny and Shooty on the show and shared his player comparison for Jacob Wilson.
I played against Derek Jeter in the minor leagues. Derek Jeter and Jacob Wilson, they were both the 6th overall pick of the Major League Draft. 6'3", lithe build, going to fill out innate hand-eye coordination, kind of that all shucks but serious demeanor, focused. I mean, it's a unique skill set, and playing against the captain, Derek Jeter, pretty much his whole minor league career. It was 2 or 3 years, but played against him every step of his journey in the minor leagues, and it's 30 years apart. But I played against one of those guys up close and personal. Saw his father, Jack, play a lot. Jacob Wilson reminds me of Derek Jeter.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn. A's right fielder Lawrence Butler joined Chris Townsend and Steve Sachs to talk about what he's been learning from Brent Rooker regarding leadership.
I watch Rook and Kotz for the most part every day. I mean, I just kind of watch how they handle things, how they handle situations, their body language and situations. And, I kind of, like you said, I kind of just learn from it and be like, all right, so when it's my turn, when I'm the older vet type of guy, how will I handle my team and how will I handle situations? And, Rook's been doing an amazing job. Cott's been doing an amazing job. All they preach is positivity in the locker rooms and in the dugout. So, they never want us to feel like we're getting too down on ourselves. Even though we might be going through a rough patch, that we're still a good team and we still believe that we're going to come out of this. And, we still believe that we can make a playoff push. That's still not out of our heads.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
A's Cast Live continues from NBC Sports. Here's Chris Townsend.
Welcome back to the San Francisco studios here of NBC. We'll have the Athletics pregame show, A's Cast on NBC Sports California, coming up in just a little bit. Before we get there, you want to talk about one of the great careers in our sport. It goes well before baseball, whether it's calling NFL games, calling college football, college basketball. I remember the Coach K show, Mike Krzyzewski, Dave Sims has done it all, whether it's newsprint, it's television, and now he is the voice of the New York Yankees. Dave, it's great to have you back on A's Cast Live. How are you? I think you're muted, Dave. There you go.
There you go. Much better. Not doing well, man. Good to see you. How's everything?
Everything is great. Just how is the new gig? I know it's you started your career years ago in newspapers, and you did radio, and you did TV in New York. We've talked to you for so long in the Pacific Northwest. Just how's everything been going for you going back to New York?
Well, it's great being home and doing the Yankee games, working with Susan Walden. But just being back home, I love the Pacific Northwest. Don't get me wrong, 18 years, great years, which we made the playoffs more than once. But it's great being home. It's couldn't be any better.
Yeah, your run in Seattle was incredible. I know it had to be tough to leave because your relationship with that fan base was just spectacular. But like you said, a chance to come home. I know whether it's New York, Philadelphia, just what has that been like to be home? It's just it's a different feel.
Yeah, and it's a different comfort level. Everything that I do during the off season, not everything, the things I can do during the baseball season now here at home, homestead. People I can see, restaurants I can hit. My wife's been taking on more Broadway than what we usually do. So, there's so many benefits just moving back there.
So it's an interesting series. You got a young athletics group. The young core is pretty good. Team's not having a good season, but the young core is dangerous. And, last time we saw the Yankees, I know you didn't make it out to Sacramento. They were red hot. But since then, especially lately, last 14, 16 games, talk to us. What's it been like for the New York Yankees?
Well, the biggest thing with runners in scoring position, it's just not happening. It's really, really been bad. At one point, something like 2 for 21, 4 for 41, something like that. Judges cooled off a little bit. Numbers are still outstanding. Passing home runs. But it's all about the timely hitting. Starting pitching's been good. We've had some good outings from the bullpen. But we've come back a little bit to the point where Tampa Bay and Toronto are shouting distance, and we've got 2 big series coming up with Toronto in the next month, and another one with Tampa Bay. So this is going to be very interesting as we get that come to the All-Star break and come down.
I guess we can never be shocked that Tampa's right there. It just seems like year after year after year, but it is like with everything they have going on. We've talked a lot about what we have going on, but with everything they have going on, to to sit here and what we're on 2.7 for just a half game back, it's hard not to be shocked by it.
Yeah, at Tampa Bay, I know when I was in Seattle, we'd make that long trip over there. Guys you've never seen, maybe you've seen once, and the pitching, get arm after arm after arm, and they would always have just enough pop to hurt you. So, I think that formula continues to this day.
All right, since you've gone back to New York, you've taken the job. One thing that surprised you about being the voice of the Yankees that maybe you didn't think about?
Well, that's a good question. The thing that jumps out at me is I think broadcast colleagues, the phrase I keep hearing, I'm so happy for it. I've heard a lot of that. Other than that, it's just been a blast. I ride the subway to and from. A lot of people, I don't get harassed. People ask for autographs there, which is good, especially at night after a long. But no, I'm just having the time of my life. There's nothing real extraordinary is happening in one way or the other. It's just, I'm in a groove and I'm trying to stay.
And I gotta think the flights are a little bit better.
Oh my, hey, dude, let me tell you, we play 3 games here. We go to Toronto. That's a layup. We come back. We have the Mets. I take the 7 train over to Citi Field. Road trips to Boston, to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Closest, you guys were the closest road trip I had when I was in Seattle, and that's 2 hours and change. That's not the case. And now, with the way the schedule broke this year, we're already done. The farthest west we have to go is probably Texas for the rest of the year. So that's it. Everything else is going to be here in the Eastern and Central time zone.
Well, you've had one of the greatest careers in our industry. There's no question about it. I know you're busy. We always appreciate the time. Have a good call today. Enjoy this series against the Athletics, and let's talk later on during the season. And I know a million people have told you this, but congratulations. I know how much the new gig means to you.
Appreciate it, Chris. All the best. Good to see you again, man. Take care.
Take care, Dave. Good stuff. The great Dave Sims joined us here on A's Cast Live, and happy for him, because obviously you do the Mariners for all those years. You build up that relationship with the fan base, and it's life decisions, right? Broadcasting is an interesting deal, and the decisions that are made are tough because, in our jobs, you just don't go down the street. You usually got to pick your family up and you got to go somewhere else. And that's just it's one of the things that whenever I talk to people and they want to be in our industry, it's like, I've been very fortunate that graduating from San Jose State, I basically have stayed in the Bay Area my entire broadcasting career. Obviously that's changing, but it's changing at a time in my life that works. My kids have gone to school, so it works. For a lot of people, though, you got to make some really tough life decisions. And luckily for him, also for his age, I think Dave's like 71, around 70, 71. But, what a career he has had, and to be able to go back home and be able to broadcast for the Yankees, it's a big deal, man. You're the play-by-play. As much as we laugh and, I can't stand the Yankees are it. I've had people actually come at me about that, going, I know how you feel about the Yankees, but if the Yankees offered you a job, how would you not consider it? It's the New York Yankees.
Yeah, nothing against the Mariners and our buddies like Aaron Goldsmith who work up there, but yeah,
nothing against the 29 other teams.
Yeah, it's the Yankees. It's
the Yankees.
It's like if you want to be the voice of the Lakers, or you want to go and be the voice of the Cowboys or the Steelers. I actually these are legacy brands.
I actually think the only comp would be the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think the Lakers are. It's the New York Yankees. Once again, the amount of people that watch and listen to their games is insane. They own the Eastern Seaboard. So basically, the majority of people who live in 300 and something, whatever million people, the good majority of the people, I mean, obviously where our country started, it just is what it is. It's in the Northeast and it filters down. They own the entire East Coast. New England, yes, for the Red Sox. You've got Philadelphia and the Phillies, and they got some New Jersey, but the Yankees own basically all of the East. Their fan base, just from a standpoint of human beings, if we all compared our fan bases, human for human, it's a weird way to put that kind of data, huh?
A little bit.
But if you went human to human, no one sniffs them. No one sniffs them. You just can't. I mean, so it's like they were here. They've been here. They've been winning championships. They had Babe Ruth. They had the most popular player. They've won all these championships with the most popular players. The New York Yankees are a part of Americana. Like I don't know any other brand. I mean, when you talk brands, the NFL made the Cowboys the Cowboys. The Yankees made Major League Baseball. It's a different deal. And still, even though our sport is not what the NFL is, just look at the other teams in New York: Giants, Jets, Knicks, Rangers, Mets,
Islanders.
They don't even sniff it. They don't even sniff it.
The only team that had any good run besides the Giants would be the Islanders, and that was in the 80s.
Let me give you a great. The Islanders have never, and you weren't even alive.
That's why I said the 80s.
They never sniffed the Yankees.
Oh, I'm just saying this. I'm talking about success.
Put it this way. I don't remember what year it was at the winter meetings. Would have been 2 years ago. Probably was Nashville. Bruce Bochy shows up. Bruce Bochy's just won his 4th World Series title. He's Hall of Famer. He's Bruce Bochy. He had like 8 media people around him. That was it. Winter meetings. Everybody in baseball's there. All the top people in baseball there. There was like 8 people around Bruce Bochy. Right after him was Aaron Boone. There's now like over 60 people. Aaron Boone had the press conference, and then he has to hold a second press conference. He had to do like 2 press conferences, right? It was like the humanity that was around him, covering him. Bruce Bochy had just won the World Series. He had like 8 people there.
It's the power of New York, and
it's a whole different animal. And that's why it's big for our players. Nick Kurtz to hit 4 home runs. Jacob Wilson to do Jay Willie stuff, to have like 8 hits in this series. Lawrence Butler, Denzel Clark to rob a. You do it here, everybody's going to know. Everybody will know. I would love Nick Kurtz to hit a couple bombs here. And for everybody, I mean, I think a lot of hardcore baseball people know Nick Kurtz. But I think like Nick Kurtz goes and hits like 3 home runs in this series, everybody's going to be like, oh, this big fella.
Yeah, he'll be close to 15.
What do you want to do here? We're going to Mark Kotsay?
Yeah, and that's the end of the show.
All right, it's Friday. We'll be back on Monday. When we back on Monday? As the East Coast trip continues.
It's either 1:30 or 2. I have to look and see what time the game is in Tampa.
That's what we're telling them, either 1:30 or 2?
I don't know what time the game is in Tampa.
All right, we will be back, A's Cast Live. We'll be back at 1:30 on Monday as the Athletics are taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Time now for the Mark Kotsay Show. It's Friday, so Kotz talks to us every single Friday. Time now for the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. Mark, how are you in New York?
Doing well, Towny. We had a little trouble getting to New York last night. We sat on the tarmac for about 4 hours in Detroit. Air traffic control, there was a stoppage in traffic into New York, and it took a little longer than we expected to get here.
You know, that's something that people really don't think about, because we just think you guys leave us and you go play games, but people don't realize, especially in the Northeast, the bad weather that's still going on. It's like winter didn't leave them, and now the heat has shown up, but all of the bad lightning and all the bad rain, as you had rain delays in Detroit, something we don't experience a lot here out west, but you guys got to deal with this when you go on these East Coast road trips.
Yeah, we do. But last night was unfortunate. We obviously would have had a decent time to get into New York. And, we ended up landing about 10 o'clock, 10:15. Obviously, our traveling secretary, who's one of the best in the game, Mickey Morabito, was, distraught that he just couldn't make it happen, right? It's just out of his control. And, yet he takes all the responsibility in the world for it, but not his fault at all. So, but we're here. We're in Yankee Stadium, prepping for tonight's game against this Yankees.
When you look at the Yankees, they've been struggling. There's no question about what are you seeing in your prep and your data as you're getting ready for them?
Well, no, you're right. Obviously the lineup, when you look at it, I think this is one of the first lineups that they've had Rice and Goldschmidt in the lineup at the same time. So, on paper, it's good, right? I mean, and they, up until maybe the last 2 weeks, have proven as a great offense. But right now it's they're going through a little bit of a funk, like you said, and hopefully they stay in that through the weekend.
Yeah. When you have like really good players, it's a long season. It's months and months of playing baseball, and everybody goes through highs and lows. But let's say a great player is struggling. Your data says he's struggling. Aaron Judge isn't, by the way. He's getting hot again. But if your data says a guy's struggling, how much do you look into that on how you're going to attack a guy versus you say, hey, listen, I know the data says one thing, but I look at the track record of him, and this guy's phenomenal.
I think you have to take both into consideration, right? Obviously, you look at the 5 and 10 numbers, how they've been swinging over the last 5 days, the last 10 days. You look at the matchups from, any past history that from a standpoint of a pitcher versus a certain hitter. And then you can go further into, like we talked about, who do you want to beat you, right? And I think those are the matchups you try to, really point out, and obviously Judge being one of them, right?
When you think about matchups, I've always wondered this as a manager because, before the game, people don't know. You're there basically all day long, right? You're there all day long. You're grinding this. You're thinking about it. How often in games, maybe percentage-wise, do the matchups you really look at really come about in a game? Like you go, we prepared for this, and it exactly happened that way.
Never, very rarely does it ever happen exactly the way you set forth, right? Like those are great days when you come in, you game plan, you say, okay, Spence is going to go 6, we're going to turn the ball over to, whether it's Ginn for an inning or Ferguson to Kelly to Miller, and very, very rarely does that go seamlessly, right? So, but no, you obviously want to be prepared. That's what we spend our time on. There's a number of things, right? Like I can tell you my morning, 7 a.m. Watched the AAA game, on our video stream. Watched Barnett, throw the ball. Watched Lang Shea swing it. He did hit a bomb yesterday. Things are really moving in the right direction for Shea. So, overall, it's a day spent just, working as we should be, working to get better and, working to prepare to win.
When you look at something like with Langoliers, like we all want to rush him back, right? Guys like Miguel Andujar, same thing. You want to rush these guys back, but as you know, when you're dealing with those side injuries, the lats and those different muscles in your side, the best thing for them is rest, and you gotta take it easy because they can get aggravated. So, do you ever find yourself you have to preach patience to yourself to make sure you don't bring a guy back early?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a great medical staff. Brian Shulman, Jeff. Those guys have experience in dealing with these type of injuries, and they do, have to put the reins on us sometimes. But it's also nice when they say, "Hey, yeah, if you want him back, we can accelerate this," right? And so there's a give and take in that relationship. But yeah, we definitely have to look at the big picture and understand, we've got 78 games left, including tonight, I think. Is that right? 79 games, somewhere in there. There's still half a season left.
Well, when you go to New York, all the eyes of baseball are on you. And, of course, MLB Network is just across in New Jersey, so players get highlighted when they show up to New York. We got Denzel Clark. We got Jacob Wilson. Just how great is this experience for the young guys to go over and be with Mark DeRosa, who you know, and to be a part of the wash, as they say, to go through all those shows and to get that exposure over at MLB Network, because things have changed over the years. When you were playing in the clubhouse, everybody just had ESPN all day long on. Now when you go in the clubhouses for now well over 10 years, everything's about MLB Network. So not only does everybody in the game get to see you, all the other plays get to see, the other players get to see you. Just talk about what a big deal it is for the players to go over to MLB Network.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for it personally, but I know that the guys were really excited. They're not back yet. It takes a little time to get from the studios back to Yankee Stadium. So I'll get a chance to catch up with them when they walk in. Maybe they have. I don't know. I'm got the door shut. So, but yeah, I know they were pumped up. It's obviously great recognition for our players, for Jacob, for Law, for Denzel to be on that show, to be on the national stage, to be celebrated in a way that they were, today and talked about. That's awesome. That says a lot about what they've accomplished so far. The impact that, from Denzel's standpoint, defensively, we all knew his capabilities, but to have the impact in 4 straight weeks to win an award that most don't win, one in their career. So pretty special. But I do think that what MLB has done with the network, with the talent that they have on the network, the promotion, they just continually promote the game, promote the players, right? And there's nothing better than that. And I really I think we all enjoy that. We enjoy the part that, from them just being recognized and being put out there.
I mean, you think about Brent Rooker when he went on there, that was his all-star year, and everybody started realizing how good he was playing. And then it was Mason Miller did the same thing, and he made the all-star game. So maybe you'll see a kind of love MLB Network gives to Jacob Wilson, and that can for sure get him into the all-star game into Atlanta. Going to play New York, like I said, obviously the Yankees, you're playing the Yankees. They're the prominent franchise in our sport, but really all the eyeballs, there's more media, more people watching on the Eastern Seaboard, especially there in the Northeast. So everybody's really watching you when you go to New York. What was it like in your time? And what did you think about when you went and played? I mean, really either the Yankees or the Mets. What was it like when you went and played in New York? And did you think about that as a player?
Yeah, I've got a great experience my rookie year coming here with the Marlins, wearing number 7 and running out to right field after I made an out my first at bat. I was 0 for 1. And let me tell you what, man, the right field bleachers wore me out. And they wore me out so bad that weekend that I left Yankee Stadium, three games, left Yankee Stadium without getting a hit. And I wanted to get out of here so fast, so badly, right? And we went, and it's kind of ironic. We're going to Tampa after this series, but we went to Tampa, and I was so just thrilled to be out of Yankee Stadium. That series, I think I went like 9 for 11 in Tampa. And just couldn't have been happier to just get out of Yankee Stadium. But the stage is real, man. It's real. And that was the old Yankee Stadium. This is obviously the new ballpark, which I had the privilege to play in both. But it's a different beast here. And just like you described it, man, there's some passion here on the East Coast for the game and for the players and for the performance, right? And for these guys coming in here and experiencing it for the first time, it's real.
I'm assuming they're telling you you're no Mickey Mantle.
Oh, more than no Mickey Mantle. They were telling me a lot of that. I was I can't really say it on this show, but yeah, they had. I mean, hey, listen. Now I will give San Fran a little credit. The San Fran left field bleachers are pretty legit too. Like they dig and they know history, they know stuff. But right field bleachers in Yankee Stadium, special place.
Well, that's why you want to perform so well, because they don't forget it. Like if you go into Yankee Stadium, like if Jacob Wilson goes in there and has a huge series, the media there and all the fans, this is not that it's the media. It's all the people who are watching. There's so many eyeballs on the Yankees. I remember when Barry Bonds went there and he hit one, I think it was off Ted Lilly, hit one in the upper deck. And like, everybody's like, oh my God. I mean, that was when Bonds was Bonds, right? So like when you go there and you do something, that's etched in everybody's mind going forward. It's huge for you when you want to be a Cy Young Award winner or an MVP or a Rookie of the Year, get into the All-Star game. There's no, what fair or not, like you go down to Tampa and people may not see it, even though you have a great series, like you're going next after this, but you do it in New York, people don't forget it.
No, you're right. I mean, New York, Boston, LA, the big markets for sure. I mean, there's a lot more media attention. There's a lot more to deal with. There's a lot more distractions. So, but there's a lot of reward when you go out and play well and you perform for sure.
Let's end on this. Always tough, the business decisions of our game. TJ McFarland, 35 years old, means so much to the group. DFA today, how tough was that conversation?
Yeah, really tough. I think from a personal standpoint, what TJ's done in the last year and a half for this group, not just on the field from a performance standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint, from a bullpen standpoint, being a veteran down there, impacting, a lot of these younger arms. We've seen our bullpen, perform a little better post-injury when he got back down there. And it was really difficult because someone that's 30 days away from a 10-year mark as a big leaguer, it's hard. It's really hard. You want to give them every opportunity to get there. You also want to give them every opportunity to take the jersey off themselves. And today I'm hopeful that there's a team out there that will pick him up, will give him a chance to get through that finish line, that will value what his role can be on a team. We saw how well he did last year and bringing him in and the matchups that we were able to give him this year. It's been a little more challenging to put him in really good spots, and so it's just a different year. And, it was tough to move on. But TJ's a pro, and I can't thank him enough for the job he did over the last year and a half for us. And
kind of like the last link to good times in 18, 19, and 20 is Seth Brown. And Seth Brown will also be moving on.
Yeah, for Seth, I reached out to him. I know he cleared the waiver process. He's a free agent now. So he's got an option now if he wants to continue playing to latch on with a team. He's kind of a free agent really. And it may be the best thing for Seth to go forward, find a new organization and kind of start fresh, right? So, I'm hopeful that he gets that opportunity and wants that opportunity. I think Seth's 31 or 32 years old. But you're right, Towny. Like that was the last connection, I think, here as a player from that 18, 19, 20, 21 team.
Well, good luck this weekend. Good luck in Tampa. Hopefully Saturday night, you got a 1:00 game there on the East Coast on Saturday. You can go have a nice dinner and have some good times in New York City. And we will talk to you next week in Sacramento.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, guys.
The Mark Kotsay Show brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.